What is up, everyone? It is Kate here, and today we're going to do a trade recap. The trade I've taken last Sunday is this one right here. We're going through over the high time frame, why I would take a long here, and the local situation on what triggered me to take a long. I discussed the potential of this high time frame into my live stream, and I have this screenshot here actually of me taking the trade, the exact entry point 0.7349. You can also see it's right here. 0.7349. So we did actually take that trade and managed to run it up and get some crazy profits out of it. Because it is Friday right now and I took this trade last Sunday, I am on replay mode right now to check it out on what happened here. So let's actually start by zooming out a bit on 1 hour. And what happened here is we continued uptrending. We've made a higher high, so our expectation order flows is still that higher low for that higher high. Now what we did is we actually created a range. When we're uptrending, you want to draw your range from high to low, and when you touch the middle point, your range is confirmed. So what happened here is we actually got a deviation of the high, which could tell us that possible market makers are stepping in here to start pushing the price down. But that didn't stop me from longing here, because what we could have done also is this pullback brought you to new highs. We could have tested it and went on to break new highs as well, especially with the local situation. So let's start to zoom in a bit. This was our last bit of consolidation before we broke a massive structure that had some crazy resistance here. So it's definitely a relevant point to test back. And when we zoom in, we do actually have a block still open here. We haven't tested it while we broke out of it. No, we actually front ran it and continued from there while building all of this liquidity. What makes it so interesting to long here, even though we have a market maker signal at the high that we could possibly trade way lower? Well, that is because look at our local trend liquidity that we had been building. All of these lower highs, all of them were stop losses, and we actually also had a open supply here. So most of the time what happens when you get a grind down like this, then you get a big pop up, that's your supply, continue your high time frame liquidity schematic, and then continuing down. We were building liquidity on the highs until we had taken enough on the lows. You guys should recognize these models by now because it happens every time and it's literally a lot of confluences for me to take a trade there. Having this in mind, with those three taps, possible market makers filling up orders, I want to look locally if we can get that trend switch, because you're building so until you have taken enough to then start trading towards your highs. That was my bias, that was what I was looking for, and that's also what I have gotten. So if we take a look on the 5 minute, we SFP this wick here and look at all of these wicks. That shows buying power, right? Also the volume profile, crazy amounts of volume here. The volume was over here as well. So a lot of indications that big players could be filling up orders here. So what I did is I went on the lower time frame to look for an entry. And I'm really proud of this trade that I took it the way I did with my invalidations point as well. Because what happened there is we created another range. Your high time frame is a range that's looking bullish. But locally we also accumulated because we're moving sideways, of course, and we got the same model on the lower time frame with the three taps. You're trending down, so you want to draw your range from low to high. That's what I did. And we got the three taps on the bottom. After we got the third tap, we have confluences to trade towards the liquidity on the highs, because that's what my model tells me to do. So we want to wait for a change of character. If we take a look, this was your last pullback before you created those new lows right here. Well, what happens when you actually start to gain that? Get a change of character towards the upside with all of the confluences we have to trade towards the upside. Well, our order flow shifts. We made a lower low. Then this pullback, sellers tried to step in, push price down, but buyers stepped in and pushed us for a higher high. And this internal trend is what caused it. So after the higher high, what can we expect? Of course, a higher low for new higher highs. And because we are leaving our lows open, we have confluences to trade towards our highs. If we're building liquidity on the lows, we need to trade towards the highs. If we leave liquidity open on our highs, we need to trade towards the lows. That was pretty much the whole confluences of me taking a trade here. And basically my technical target was right here, but we also had equal highs here that were interesting to take out. Plus with this high time frame model, what even could have happened here is we could have traded all the way towards this higher time frame trend liquidity. It was possible. Now I can say afterwards that didn't happen, but look at the RR of the trade already, 7.8. It's an amazing trade. I think it's around 4 to 5 RR realized. So that's a net gain of 4 to 5% on the portfolio because of good risk management. So this was basically the trade on ENA. And if you want to see more of these kind of trades, then I would suggest you taking a look at the Discord. The link will be in the description with the link to this free Discord. And we also have a basic price action course for market structure, supply and demand, liquidity, and range trading. It's literally the four concepts I use to draw in my technical analysis and also take trades based on it. Of course, these are the basics, so I only go over the basics, but you can always ask questions in the general crypto, NASDAQ, or stock chat. We are ready to help. We are ready to build a community with like minded traders. This was Cage, and let's go for the next trade recap. See you all in the next one. Peace.